though she should just hurry up and leave this world. She's such a nuisance. Um,
My husband and I said about our son's wife, whom we disliked. Ever since she started living with us, she kept making snide remarks. Day after day of accumulated stress, I wondered if we had to continue living with her verbal abuse and harassment. Then, one day, for some reason, she gifted me a luxury car worth $50,000. She said, I got it serviced, so it's ready to drive. Having no interest in luxury cars, I decided to let our son use it. However, when our son returned home 5 hours later in the new car, he was furious at his wife. She was surprised and began to apologize, tears streaming down her face. I am Addison, 65 years old. I live with my husband Ivan, our son Jake, and his wife Betty. Ivan has been a construction worker for many years, and even after retiring, he still helps out occasionally. After graduating from college, Jake joined a top company and then incredibly started his own, a web-related company. It's doing well, as he often happily talks about his colleagues, a irresistibly selection which Jake and Betty lived separately from us, but concerned about us aging and living alone. He moved his company closer to our home. After becoming independent, they started living with us, but instead of a happy family, a major problem arose. Betty, our son's wife,
she constantly found reasons to complain about me and Ivan. The bathroom is dirty, Ivan, don't use it, please. How dare you speak like that? But it's really dirty, it's just unhygienic. Ivan, having worked in construction, sweats due to the physical nature of his job. Even though he's over 65 and retired, there's a serious shortage of workers, so he helps out a bit. He often, bathes first. But it always causes a conflict with Betty. Both Ivan and Betty are straightforward, so they never got along. Betty has been in a bad mood ever since she moved in with us. Born and raised in the city, she probably hated the idea of living a bit more really with us. What is this house? There are bugs. Exclaimed, unbelievable. I never had bugs when I lived in a condo. This is the worst. Get 'em out. Our house is a single-family home, which Jake rebuilt. It's nice, but somehow spiders and other bugs get in. Addison, what is this meal? It's like something for the elderly. I can't eat this.
Is that so? I'm sorry.
Oh, this is really the worst. I'm ordering delivery. I don't need mine.
Betty said this and began fiddling with her smartphone, her knees shaking. Her harsh words made me shrink back. Chores. Addison, please take care of it.
I can't be bothered with chores, Addison. Please take care of it.
Oh yeah,
I always felt like a housekeeper in my own home, uncomfortable. The strong-willed Betty really didn't get along with Ivan. Ivan is also strong-willed and blunt, so they were always arguing. Ivan, do you just sit on the sofa when you get home? Huh, why do I have to listen to you? Because you've been working and sweating all day, right? It's dirty. Now I can't use the sofa. What did you say, boy? Please have you calm down. However, Betty's attitude changed when Jake came home. She would be all smiles and charming when Jake was around.
Jake, listen, Ivan was being mean to me again.
Again, Dad, don't be too harsh, okay? And Betty, Dad isn't a bad person. He's just blunt. Is so,
But Ivan's way of speaking is unacceptable. It's scary.
Next, when Jake was home, Betty clung to him. We were so astounded by her quick change that we were speechless. Then, Betty's harassment escalated beyond verbal abuse. She rarely cooked, but one day she decided to make a meal. It was a weekday lunchtime, so only Betty and I were home. She seemed to be making pasta, warming up some ready-made meat sauce while looking at her smartphone. The moment I tasted the dish she served, I started coughing. It's spicy. What is this? Haha, your face is so red. That's hilarious.
She laughed out loud. She put that sauce hotter than Tabasco into my portion. She laughed at me as I desperately drank water and coughed.
Other harassments included setting the bathwater too hot and deliberately dirtying the laundry. I couldn't take it anymore and decided to talk to Jake.
That's me, Sergeant Flush. Sorry to bother you after work. It's about Betty. I don't know, things have been really bad late. Bad in what way? She purposely put that sauce in my lunch, made the bath too hot to enter. If there are things she's unhappy about, I'm willing to try and fix them. But, could you talk to her?
really?
Jake was surprised and called Betty right away.
Are you harassing Mom?
Away. I would never do that. What did Addison say about me? That's terrible.
But you put that sauce in my lunch the other day? And there's more?
That's not true. I just wanted to spice things up a bit, and it went wrong. I just wanted to make a delicious pasta for Addison, and I'm not good at housework.
Mom, I'm sorry. Betty isn't really good at housework. It wasn't on purpose.
I'm sorry, I'll stay away from housework.
She said in a voice filled with false regret. I wanted to scream out that it was all lies, but I was too scared to think about Jake believing Betty and leaving. Jake, our beloved and only son, who we raised so carefully. I didn't want to become estranged from him at this age. I had no choice but to stay silent.
Addison, isn't the meal ready yet? You're so slow.
I was just cleaning. Can you wait a bit?
You're so clumsy.
You could help out a little.
Hey, but you said I shouldn't do housework. I'm not good at it, so it's your job, Addison. Oh, and since the weather is nice today, please wash our room sheets and pillow covers.
She laughed heartily. I was exhausted, used by Betty every day without rest. Ivan was worried, but I had given up and said nothing. Then, one day, something happened.
Addison, as a thank you for always taking care of me, please accept this gift. First, she handed me car keys. This car costs $50,000. It's been serviced and is ready to drive. The dealer had driven it over, and a luxury car was parked in front of the house.
But all of a sudden,
I thought you could use a new one since your car is getting old.
indeed, my car is getting old, but
So happy, right?
thank you.
Being confused, I nodded at the pleased Betty. Satisfied with my reaction, Betty returned to her room. I didn't really need the luxury car. I decided to offer it to Jake and take his car and talk to him that night. Listen, Officer, this car was given to me by Betty as a thank you, but I don't need a luxury car. You use it.
Really? Thank you. I'll try it out tomorrow.
Jake smiled happily. The next day, Jake went fishing in the new car. I was doing housework as usual, spending some quiet time with Ivan. Then Jake came home, but something was off, and he was slamming the door roughly. But something seemed off, and he was slamming the door roughly. Ivan and I exchanged puzzled looks as an angry Jake entered the living room.
Alright, Mom, you got that card from Betty, didn't you?
Yes, it was suddenly delivered to our house yesterday. Is anything wrong?
Did you touch it?
Of course not. It's a luxury car, so I thought it's best not to touch anything.
Zero's hears it, so Betty, after hearing my response, Jake called out loudly for Betty.
Betty hurried down from her room on the second floor.
Jake, welcome back. What's up?
Did you do something to the car you gifted, Mom?
What do you mean?
I drove it today, and the engine oil was completely empty.
I can't believe that was a defect. Maybe the dealer forgot, to put it in.
I thought so too, but something strange happened. There was no warning light. Normally, when the engine oil runs out, warning light should come on, but it didn't light up at all.
I see echoes. I see a private service.
That's a lie. Betty, your expression stiffened at Jake's words, so... The person who repaired, it happened to be the same person who serviced that car. He said it was strange to get a request to remove the oil and disable the warning light, so that no one would notice. How was he, wasn't it?
I don't know anything about it.
Purely drained the episode, but he had deliberately drained the engine oil to make me drive the car. The thought that the engine could fail or cause an accident was terrifying.
I never thought you would do such a thing.
No, it's not true, believe me.
And it's chill.
Ethan, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. Everyone fell silent. Ivan sudden intervention. But, then Ivan took something out from behind the living room plant. He showed Jake and the others what he removed from the plant. The camera?
Yes, we've been troubled by a harassment for a long time, thinking you wouldn't believe us. I consulted someone at work, and they suggested keeping evidence. A young guy at work who's good with cameras and computers secretly installed these in various places around the house. Told you set it up so we can view the data on a computer.
Ivan then went to his room and brought back his computer. He wasn't usually a computer user, but he awkwardly operated it and played the camera footage. The exercise of all harassment and verbal abuse against me were recorded.
Addison didn't say anything, but it was clear she was being relentlessly worked and was visibly tired. Yes, sir, I'm sorry, but if things don't change, we want you to leave.
Listen, what's it like? You've been lying to me all this time. Saying Mom and Dad harassed you are too strict. How could you do such things to someone's parents?
I'm sorry, please forgive me. I won't do it again. Okay?
I can't live with someone who can casually do such terrible things to others. Let's get a divorce.
Divorce. That's a problem. Oh, do you know how much that car cost? I took out a loan and can't pay it back. So you married me for the money.
So how are you planning to pay back that loan? You going to work?
Well, I'll do the housework, I'll work, and then you pay me. And I'll pay back the loan.
I was appalled at Betty, who seemed to think this was a brilliant idea.
So you plan to dump the work on Mom and just take the money. You never did any housework, always making Mom do it all.
That's not true. I can do housework.
Then go cook something right now.
Nest yourself.
Jake pointed to the kitchen. Betty, thinking she couldn't refuse, trembled as she gripped the knife. She appeared to be trying to make omelet rice. Her awkwardly cut ingredients were unevenly sized. Food spilled from the frying pan as she cooked, and the area around the gas stove was a mess, and the eggs were all broken up. The last time she made pasta, she only warmed up canned sauce. It was clear to both me and Jake she couldn't cook at all.
And you were gonna ask for money for this. Seriously, you underestimate the job. Do you know how hard I worked to earn the money you spend so freely? And to think you'd harass my parents? Well, living off my money.
Well, I know that, but I was stressed. I hate this countryside living. Let's go back to our condo in the city.
So you took your frustration with country life out on Dad, Mom?
Yes, yeah, I told Jake I didn't want to come here, but he wouldn't listen.
Honestly, it was hard to watch a grown woman over 30 whine like a child.
Please, let's just live together. The two of us.
Get out now.
But I've learned my lesson. I'll work hard at housework from now on. But in retaste, IBO.
Get out. I said, get out now.
I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'm sorry.
He cried and banged on the door. Ignoring her, Jake began to throw all her belongings out of the window. Eventually, her apologies turned into quiet sobs. Even and I stood in shock, not expecting Jake, usually so calm, to be this angry.
I'm sorry I didn't know sooner. I didn't realize sooner I was blind. I thought living together would make things easier for Dad and Mom. But instead, I made things so much harder.
Pup, you finally woke up.
Yeah, I knew Betty was reckless with money, but I tolerated it. Since we weren't struggling financially, but I never thought her character was as bad. I almost lost Dad and Mom.
And indeed, if there had been an accident with that car, there could have been serious injuries. The lack of a warning light isn't just a little prank. Thinking about it now sends chills down my spine.
Addison had it the hardest. If you're going to apologize to her.
I'm really sorry.
It's okay now, thank you for believing us.
I convinced to me, please. I was relieved that Jake finally prioritized us. Just continuing our relationship with the Jake we'd always cherished was enough.
We got caught by a strange woman in cash. She started watching TV.
Betty, having picked up her belongings, was nowhere to be seen. After that, Betty called almost every day, yelling, "It's your fault. It's all your fault." She would scream in a high-pitched voice until hanging up. This when Ivan answered, she would just shout, but she seemed to cry and apologize when Jake picked up. The harassment wasn't just through phone calls. The guards and dead rats started appearing at our front door.
What's all this? So,
Let's get evidence first.
Even said. He took photos with his mobile phone and cleaned up the mess, putting the carcasses in a plastic bag. There's no way such bold harassment would go unnoticed. It seemed Jake and our neighbors had noticed too. The neighbor friend called, worried about a strange woman lurking around our house. After asking Ivan's construction company to install security cameras, we caught the entire act on video. Seeing this, Jake sighed. Then the next day, Jake went to the police and filed a report. Actually, Betty was charged with multiple crimes, including threats and obstruction of business. The recorded phone calls and the garbage left at our front door served as evidence. She also caused trouble by showing up every day at Jake's company to apologize. Such a selfish person, her selfishness led to more fines, increasing her debts. After that, she apparently sold her branded bags and clothes to scrape by. She got a job, but inexperienced in the workforce, she couldn't keep it and ended up working at a nightclub to make ends meet. After she caused a scene, crying and screaming at our front door, the neighbors asked what happened, so I told them everything. It quickly spread around the neighborhood, turning into gossip. I thought she would move far away, but without money to move. She's stuck near a lower rent area, living in an apartment about a 10-minute walk away. Any sighting quickly becomes neighborhood gossip. I take the train for the neighbors. A near talkative than me seemed to know more about Betty's life. Rumors about her are endless, drunk every night, constantly fighting with different men.
How about going on a trip?
Really, that would be nice, as an apology for all that happened. Let's go to a spa. We still live together, Jake, Ivan, and me. Life has been peaceful and comfortable since Betty left.
Is there anything you want?
I'm not interested in luxury goods, and while I'm proud of Jake for starting his company, I don't want to splurge with his money. Because more than anything, I'm happy just living peacefully as a family of 3. Of course, I'd be happy if Jake brought home a wonderful woman next time. I hope he finds someone special and builds a lovely family.